Coming up on today's show, Tesla's Model 3 sales shatter records, Norway's EVs charge to a new record, and why, if you're an EV owner, you could be sitting on what they call an appreciating asset. Well, good morning, good afternoon and good evening. In fact, wherever you are in the world, welcome to EV News Daily. It's Wednesday, the 2nd of January 2019. Still feels weird saying that, getting used to it, 2019. It's Martyn Lee here, and I've been through all today's EV stories and picked out the news you need. Thank you to myev.com for helping make this show. You know, myev.com is the world's first marketplace all about EVs. If you're in the US, it's a totally free marketplace to really simplify the buying and selling process, which you must admit with EVs can still be sticky at times. They've set out to solve that and along the way help you learn about EVs too. A very warm welcome to our latest Patreon premium partner. His name is Brad. He actually joined up on New Year's Day. What a New Year's Day present that was for me as well. So I've reached out to Brad on Patreon, and I'm looking forward to hearing back from him hopefully soon, and then we can properly welcome him to the audience, to you, the listener, and actually following yesterday's news that Paul joined up as well. Paul from electricmotoring.net. I introduced him to you yesterday. I know a few people miss shows sometimes, so go back and listen to yesterday's and find out what that's all about. This month in January, I want to take a bit of a look, I believe they call it a deep dive, into hiring EVs. I have this theory that the minute you try one, the second you try one, you pull away and there's no noise. There's something, it flicks a switch, right? The performance, everything about it. So if you can try an EV, then you're more likely to make a purchase, and that's a good thing, right? So I think hire companies are a great gateway into doing that. And so we're going to dedicate January to talking about hire companies. Have you ever hired an EV or maybe used a Tesla hire company? Let me know. What was your impression? You can email me. My email direct, by the way, is hello@evnewsdaily.com. And I read all the emails that do come in, by the way. So electricmotoring.net is the Tesla hire company for Chicago and the surrounding area. Perfect if you're local or maybe you're visiting. I asked Paul as well, because it's such a cool domain, right, that he's got, electricmotoring.net. I asked him how he ended up with that, and he said he was inspired by one of my personal favourites, which is Ryan and his Ride the Lightning Tesla podcast, who signs off at the end of every show, Happy Electric Motoring, and he was inspired by that cool story. Right, let's get on with the news today then. Well, this is a massive story today that is filled with numbers. Now, I love a good spreadsheet, a bit of a numbers geek, but I've tried to pick out the handful of stats that you need to know that you can process on your commute, your run, whatever you're doing today, listening at work or at home over your breakfast. This is the story of Tesla's announcement today about the Model 3, in fact, all of their production and sales numbers. Never before has a single plug-in EV ever sold at that volume in a single month, says Eric Loveday over at InsideEVs.com. InsideEVs estimates that Tesla sold about 25,250 Model 3s in the month of December last year. That figure not including Canada. That's a new all-time high for the Model 3 and the single highest monthly figure for any plug-in car in the US ever. In December, by the way, a year ago, so December 17, the Model 3 sold 1,060. Those two stats side by side. 25,000 last month, 1,000 a year ago in the month of December. Well, compare that, by the way, to the year-to-date tally. Year-to-date tally for Model 3 is in. The figure for all of 2018 checks in at 139,782. Well, cumulative sales now stand at 141,000, which is actually not that much bigger than this year's figure. It goes to show how few cars were sold in 2017. And actually, if you've got a 2017 Model 3, how special that car is. I know it was early. I know they've made changes to them along the way, but you've got a really special car because a handful of people had them in 2017. Well, InsideEVs.com has the excellent context, as always, on the big picture. During 2018, in the last 12 months, Tesla has delivered 245,240 cars. That is up almost 140% on year. The Model 3, so here's how it breaks down. The Model 3 last year, the year just gone, 2018, the Model 3, 145,000 cars. The Model S, 50,000. The Model X, 48,000. All of those numbers, by the way, give or take a bit. But that just goes to show the scale of the Model 3 and how important it is. I mean, everyone knows how important it is to the EV industry, not just Tesla. But those are some really big numbers. And the news kept coming today. On average, if you look at their quarterly average, just less than 1,000 cars were being delivered every day. 1,000 cars being delivered every single day. The Model 3 is such a success. The cumulative number, by the way, of Teslas, not Roadsters, the original Roadster, but I think if you look at just the total number of SX and 3, it's 532,000 cars. Always remember how big that number is now. Over 500,000 cars have rolled off that production line. And so they are, as Elon said, I think we're a real car company now. No, I think you did that a long time ago, but that's excellent news about those numbers. Tesla themselves said this, and I quote, "There remain significant opportunities to grow Model 3 sales by expanding to international markets, introducing lower-priced variants, and offering leasing. International deliveries in Europe and China start February in 2019. Expansion of Model 3 sales to other markets, including the right-hand drive variant, will occur later in 2019, end quote. So let's pick that apart. Expanding to international markets is the next big unlock of revenue for them, because some people saying they've exhausted the reservations in the US for people who want to buy premium cars. The others are waiting for $35,000 car. There's arguments for both sides, by the way, depending on what you're trying to argue. One stat worth remembering, by the way, that recently the Model 3s that have been rolling out of the factory, only 25% of them have been from the original reservation list. The other 75% are people who weren't on the original reservation list. People who have come to it and gone, you know what, I'd like a premium sedan, I'd like a premium Tesla Model 3, and they've ordered and then they've got their car. So you can argue that stat both ways, that there's a big reservation list waiting in the US for cheaper cars, or that the reservation list in the US is now exhausted. But anyway, either way, moving into Europe and the international markets will unlock a huge swathe of reservation holders. Lower priced variants, they mention, that is code for $35,000, or maybe $40,000 after you add some interior or paint options, right? And factor in the now halved federal tax credit. And then they make mention of the right-hand drive model simply as later in 2019. Now, when I was chatting to Tesla in December, and I went to go see them in London, they said, look, if you say summertime 2019, then you're in the right ballpark. And that was on the record, by the way. So that is the latest information we're working to. But, you know, if you have to wait a little bit longer, then you won't be surprised, because, of course, the right-hand drive involves, although everything is designed symmetrically in the Model 3, it's less of a faff of making right and left-hand drive cars than any other car that's ever been made. But you've still got to retool, right? So bear that in mind. Okay, well, the boardrooms around the world of other automakers are surely going to be digesting those numbers as you and I are digesting those numbers. Some are going to find a bit of pain in there. Some of them will find inspiration. My take on it, if you just want my 2 cents, if Tesla can do it, then the others can do it now. And if Tesla could have done 500,000 cars as a startup, well, the others could have done it with all of their resources 10 years ago. 10 years ago, if you rewind, what were you doing in 2008-9? So, 10 years after the millennium, what were you doing? Well, any other automaker could have gone into it with the commitment and gusto that Tesla did, and they could be where Tesla are now. And along the way, they would have saved the planet plenty of very harmful emissions along the way. I'll put links to those 2 stories, by the way, in the show notes, and lots to think about there. A final story today just on the big news that dropped. Moving beyond the success of Q4, Tesla are taking steps to partially absorb that drop in the federal tax credit. So as of yesterday, it went from $7,500 to $3,750 for those that it's applicable to. And a reminder, by the way, this is sometimes not said so overtly. It's a tax credit. And so for my listeners not in the US, remember, you have to pay the full sticker price. You have to pay the full price for the car, but then you get that discount off a future tax bill next year, or whenever your tax bill is due at some point in the future. So you're not getting money off the car now. You've still got to finance that money. You've got to come up with the cash somehow, and then it's just tax that you're deferring in the future. Anyway, I'm sure you knew that already. Customers can apply to receive the reduced now, $3,750 federal tax credit for new deliveries as of yesterday. And there's some state incentives around as well. And local utilities offer some incentives too. That can be up to $4,000. So what Tesla have done, they've taken $2,000 off all their cars. The S, the X and the 3, $2,000 off as of now. I mean, what car company does that? Anyway, that's an upfront saving now. So going back to what I was saying about the tax credit, that's now an upfront saving. You just don't pay that for the car. $2,000 less. It also shows, I think, Tesla are strong enough financially to be able to do that. It's a confident move. It's a move that someone who's profitable enough makes. And it's a very bold move as well. Well, moving on, and almost a third of new cars sold in Norway last year were pure electric, not just ones with a plug. A third were pure electric. That's a new world record as the country strives to end fossil-fuelled vehicles, according to a new Reuters report picked up by Autoblog today. In a bid to cut carbon emissions, they say, and air pollution, Norway exempts pure BEVs from taxes, and there's free parking, there's charging points. Holy moly, there's loads of charging points. If you watch Bjorn Nyland's videos, by the way, he's always saying, I could pull in here, or they're 2 miles down the road, there's this one, and then 3 miles down the road, there's this bank of charges. And you're thinking, how many have you got in Norway? Send some over here. So it looks like there's a good infrastructure there as well. Of course, fewer people and fewer cars being sold. The independent Norwegian Road Federation said today the electric cars rose to 31.2% of all new car sales in 2018. That's up from 21% the year before and 5% in 2013. Sales of petrol and diesel still in free fall. Well, moving on, and if you have an EV on your driveway, then there's a chance it could have made you money today. According to a JD Power and Associates report, 2015 Nissan Leaf prices have risen by 1%. They're higher than they were a year ago, according to David Muller at Auto News. Now, I know, look, a percent is a percent, but it's still an increase, and cars always go down in value. 2015 Nissan Leafs have retained 30% of their original sticker price this year. That's up from 23% last year, according to JD Power, and that focuses on 3-year-old vehicles when calculating the retention value of vehicles. Other EVs that are used are showing a similar trend in prices. They're either retaining their prices or even improving them. According to Black Book, which weighs 2016 models to gauge the 3-year retention, the value of used EVs this year, about 38% value after 3 years of owning it. That's versus 21% a year ago. So there's strengthening, there's confidence in used EVs, and more people want to buy them. I should probably ask, actually, just thinking out loud as I tell you that story, I should probably ask my friends over at myev.com if they do something like tracking prices that the cars sold through their website. I don't know if they do that or not. If they do, maybe it's confidential data, maybe it's market sensitive. It'll be interesting to know if there's an average used sale price by model and year and how it trends up and down, see which performs better than the others, I'll smile nicely at them and see what they say. Well, moving on, and let's talk about charging, which is turning into, by the way, within the EV community, I've noticed more of a heated debate than I've ever seen. People are really taking sides with plugs. I was like CHAdeMO fans and CCS fans arguing on Twitter like their life depended on it. And I'm like, guys, it's how we plug our cars in. Get a life. More than 2,000 CCS combo DC fast chargers have been installed in the last year here in Europe, which means that now there are now over 50% more places if you have a CCS compatible car. Reports Mark at InsideEVs. Actually, I need to clarify with Mark, that 2,000 extra number, is that charging stations itself, or is that locations with multiple chargers? Well, according to the website CCS Charge Map, overall, there are just under 6,000 chargers in Europe compared to about 8,000 CHAdeMO. Oh no, see, I've started off. I've started you off now. You're either going to be arguing for CCS or CHAdeMO. So at the moment, CHAdeMO's bigger. About 8,000 chargers here in Europe. New ones are installed at an average pace of 5.6 a day, by the way. Most of the CCS chargers between 20 and 50 kilowatts. Most recently, 100, 175, 350 kilowatt chargers have been going in with the likes of Fastned and the Ionity networks. A significant characteristic of the CCS combo locations, they're often multi-standard. So they've got a CHAdeMO, a CCS, and a Type 2 plug-on. So everyone wins. Let's all stop fighting in 2019, maybe, because those chargers have got all 3 plugs on. It's cool. It's cool. I will say that Chatter mode can do V to G, though. Sorry. Right, moving on. And let's talk about the Bolt, a car that I am rightly criticised for not talking about enough. Alan has been friendly ribbing, I would say, on Facebook, been messaging me to say, you don't mention the Bolt enough. And as I listened back to my 2019 prediction show yesterday, fair enough, I left it off because I just don't know what's coming. I don't know what's coming. I can tell you about the 2019 model year Bolt, which again is a very accomplished car, and I wish we could get it here in the UK and particularly in Europe, where sales of for various reasons not happening. They have added a new smartphone interface on the Bolt for vehicle entry, for vehicle start, for operation, for fleet orders, by the way. They've got a tyre fill alert added to the Bolt now. There's a newfound availability of Driver Confidence 2 package on the LT model, normally only available at higher levels. The package is things like low-speed automatic braking, which is a nice feature to have. You find it on many cars now. Lane keep assist and lane departure warning, also very useful. Collision alerts, distance indicator if you're following someone, and pedestrian braking as well. So if you have any more Bolt facts, any Bolt fans that listen, let me know and help me. It's a massive blind spot for me, and it annoys me. Right, moving on, and let's talk about faster cars and the Robo Race. Well, Robo Race's inaugural season is due to commence next spring. It's got a season alpha calendar. They're doing alpha, beta, all those kind of things for their seasons. It's going to run alongside Formula E for part of the season, both series being all electric, so it kind of works well. According to Scott Mitchell in a report from motorsport.com, I don't know if you check out motorsport.com yet. Have a look. There's so much good stuff on there. Robo Race, the CEO of Robo Race is Lucas Di Grassi, the Formula E champion, and he told motorsport.com that the series isn't actually restricted to only running alongside Formula E at those races. It could, say, if Formula One wanted to do a demonstration of Robo Race, it could do that to showcase the technology and boost its profile. I'll put a link to motorsport.com in the show notes for you. Well, moving on, and let's talk about very fast road cars. With zero emissions upon us, we're seeing more and more EVs across the spectrum, from the bottom of the market to the very top. And let's go to the top now. This EV assault will include not just the mainstream stuff, but hypercars like the Battista, or Battista. Yeah, I think I gave it enough Italian flair. From Automobili Pininfarina. Attempting to succeed where the Audi R8 e-tron failed. Ah, yes. Anyone listening to this podcast own the Audi R8 e-tron? If you did buy one, you'll be £1 million lighter for the pleasure of buying one. And then the program got shut down. The all-electric machine, formerly known as the PF0, has been teased in a new image. It's got us all very excited. According to Motor1.com, Automobili Pininfarina has been nice enough to share plenty of their tech specs in the build-up to the reveal, which is going to be in March, by the way, of the Battista. It's got 1,900 horsepower. It's pure electric. And it's going to be the most powerful production car ever to come out of Italy. It's going to top out at 250 miles an hour. That's about 402 Ks. And it's going to do 300 miles of range, about 480 odd Ks, before you need to plug it in and recharge. That is going to be a monster of a car. If anyone is listening at Automobili Pininfarina who wants to give me a, test drive, one day. Well, let's move on to a name we don't say very much at all on the podcast. Buick is going to have 2 new energy vehicles. They're codenamed the K226 and the K228. Catchy. And they're going to be made in China, locally produced. 88,000 actually capacity every single year. According to local media in China, the annual capacity of the XL, which is the K211, is going to be decreased by the same amount. So they are substituting one for another and putting EVs in its place. According to Gasgoo for InsideEVs.com, the K228, by the way, That's the pure BEV. The other one's the plug-in. This is the pure BEV Coupe. It's Buick's first battery electric vehicle model with an annual capacity of 40,000 units. It's going to hit the market in 2019, like I say, for China. And according to relevant reports, it's equipped with a Buick-specific charger for a variety of charging modes. I wonder what that could be, like the Chameleon charger on the Renault Zoe, where the car looks after lots of different charge speeds itself. I don't know. Okay, let's find out more. Final story today, and the embattled electric car startup Faraday Future. We wish everyone the best, but they've had a tough time. They're free now to conduct debt and equity financing after it settled a dispute with the Evergrande Group, their key investor. According to scmp.com, Faraday had targeted December last year, for production of the F91, which isn't happening. The luxury electric SUV is planned to, again, be on the market this year. Evergrande said it would invest $2 billion in Faraday over 3 years back in 2017. But for that, they got a 45% stake, bailing out the car maker. The two companies then went through a very sticky year. About $800 million was invested, but then the money stopped and the legal wranglings started. The two companies have now agreed to disagree and move forward together after having been embroiled. I'll put a full link to that website in the show notes. Well, here is this week's question of the week, and I'd love to hear from you if you've got the time to answer it. Thanks to myev.com, here is this week's question of the week, and we'll read out your answers on Sunday. What's your EV prediction for 2019? Maybe it's something for a car manufacturer, a certain set of specs or charging, or maybe it's your own EV prediction. Maybe you're buying a car this year. What's your EV prediction for 2019? Let me know what your predictions are. You can email hello@evnewsdaily.com. You can use the YouTube or Facebook comments. And if you want to use the social media, then I'm all over Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. Thank you to 151 patrons of the podcast, whose generosity means that I get to make this show, particularly our latest premium partner, electricmotoring.net, and Phil Roberts at Electric Future, that's ef.energy, our other premium partner. Looking forward to hearing, like I say, from Brad, our latest, when he gets back to me to find out how he's at what he's looking forward to doing with the podcast. In the meantime, thank you very much to everyone who follows this show on socials. If you want to get your podcast app out on your phone or tablet, whatever device you've got, you can just search EV News Daily. When you find it, hit subscribe in your podcast app. You get it first and free automatically. The audio goes on YouTube. If that's your weapon of choice, you can use that as well. And if you can leave a little review, well, that would be amazing in return. If you want to check out Patreon, it is patreon.com, patreon.com/EV News Daily. And literally every dollar supported on Patreon goes towards making this show bigger and better and spending less time doing what I would be doing, my other work, and more time doing this, which is amazing. So thank you to everybody. On the socials, search EV News Daily. In the meantime, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you tomorrow.